Please come.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please sit down. Please sit down. What's your name?
Arya V M, sir.
Okay, Miss Arya, 2 attempts. Are you going to UPSC for the first time for personality test?
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Please sit relaxed.
Yes.
Let your back touch the back of the chair. Relax your body. Don't worry about the mic.
Okay, sir.
And let us start. Please tell us about yourself.
Sir, I am Arya. I am from Balaramapuram in Thiruvananthapuram, the capital city of Kerala. I am a postgraduate in English literature with 2 years of teaching experience and at various colleges in Kerala.
Very nice.
And currently,
Yeah.
sir, currently I am looking forward for a career in civil services that will help me to integrate the values and skills that I imbibed as a teacher and also as a humanities student in the realm of public administration.
Okay, very nice. Now, can you tell us the history of Kerala in brief, please?
Sir, Kerala is mythologically believed to be a land that has been created by Parashurama. And we have the history, the records that we have is from the records of I Kingdom. And then Cheras ruled Kerala for a long time. After that, Venad Kingdom was one of the major kingdoms over there. And the part that I
Which period was that roughly?
I Kingdom, sir, it's 12th century.
Okay.
And then we have Travancore kings. From 16th century, Travancore kings ruled over Kerala, and we have Cochin dynasty that is ruled over central parts of Kerala. And later on, we have East India Company. Samudiris ruled over Kozhikode. And later, East India Company took off many parts of Kerala, including the Malabar region and the Trivandrum region or Travancore dynasty continued to rule as princely states.
For how long? For how long? Until when?
Sir, they till 1936 they ruled Trivandrum, but they had the pass, restricted pass, because Travancore entered under a subsidiary alliance with the company.
Okay. Now, Bharatnatyam is your you're a Bharatnatyam dancer.
It's my interest, sir. I'm not a professional.
Very nice. Now, it's a classical dance. How many classical dances are there in India?
Sir, if I'm correct, 8 are recognized as classical dances of India.
Can you name those, please?
Sir, Mohiniyattam and Kathakali from Kerala, Bharatanatyam from Tamil Nadu, Kuchipudi from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana region, Odissi from Odisha, Manipuri from Manipur, and there is, if I'm correct, Satriya from Assam and Kathak from Uttar Pradesh regions.
Since you mentioned about Manipur, can you tell me 3 famous things of Manipur, please?
So one is Loktak Lake, that is there.
What is good about it?
It's a Fumdi. We have floating grasslands over there.
Okay.
And there is also Kembul Lamjau National Park,
Okay.
where we can see dancing deer.
Okay. What is the name of the deer?
Sangai deer, if I'm
Sangha, you're right. Anything else?
About Manipur, sir. Sir, I heard about FSPA and so many issues going over there. I don't know.
Famous things.
Famous. Sir, shall I take a few seconds to answer that?
Yeah.
Sir, shall I?
Yes.
So one, as I mentioned, Cable Ranjau National Park and Loktak Lake. 2 is Manipuri dance, and 3 is the stilt house system that is there in order to tide over the floods.
That is, of course, in many other places also. How can you forget Mary Kom?
Sorry, sir, I forgot.
Huh? Women, all weightlifters and boxers, and they all come from the sports factory. So now I have seen that you wrote something on racism. Beauty is racism. Now, in United States, a law has been passed on racism. You are aware of that? In
Civil
Seattle?
rights.
Somewhere? Any idea?
Sir, I'm aware of the civil rights movement and laws passed. After
No,
that.
it's very recent.
After George Floyd's death, there have been laws passed. Sir.
No. I'm referring to the letter. Okay, now tell me that about the elections. Where are the assembly elections being held in India at the moment?
Sir, we have 4 states going in for elections: Karnataka, Manipur, Meghalaya, and I'm unable to recall the last states.
Okay. Anywhere elections have already been held?
I think no, sir.
No. They were held in Tripura recently.
Sorry, sir, I forgot.
Now, tell me that supposing you join the IPS and you become the district superintendent of police in one of the districts of Kerala, and one day you get information that at a certain place in your jurisdiction, people are indulging in violence. They are throwing petrol bombs, burning buses, injuring people, ransacking everything that's coming their way. What action will you take?
Sir, as a first step, I would like to call an announcement telling the people about the grievance atrocities they are committing against public law and order, and ask them to disperse as soon as possible. And 2, as a warning, I would like to use tear gas and other warning signals, water gas, tear gas and all. And 3, if they are continuing their violence, I may use, I can fire at the horizon, like I can fire above. And if they continue, I must seek the advice of my higher authorities and may use force if required.
What force, supposing they ask you, go ahead, what force will you use after that?
Sir, I follow what if I'm correct, the president is using lathi charge, so I may go with it.
So, after the fire in the air, you will use lathi charge?
Sir, I'm not aware of the procedure in which it needs to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Miss Arya, tell us about the Malabar exercises.
Sir, Malabar exercise is a military exercise that's conducted.
When did they start?
2017.
2000?
17, I knew that we have countries like Japan and Australia joining in. 2007, if I'm correct, is the year in which it started, sir.
So what is the objective of these exercises?
Sir, it is to show the harmony or the military strategic cooperation of the Quad countries, and also to secure the Indo-Pacific region as an exercise to show and secure the Indo-Pacific region.
Is the Quad and this Malabar exercise the same?
It's not the same, sir. It's the Quad countries are the ones that majorly participate in Malabar exercise. So there's a small connection.
Okay. And the objective is to make keep the Indo-Pacific a free navigationable area.
Sir,
is that an objective?
Sir, I'm not very sure, but as Quad has connections with Indo-Pacific and securing the region, I guess it might be.
So it's a military exercise.
I think so.
No, navies are participating. They are military machines.
Okay.
So Malabar is a military exercise.
I'm not.
That's what I understand, at least.
Okay, sir. I'm not very sure of it, but I've heard it as part
What else would be the objective? When the navies are exercising.
Maritime security.
Yeah.
Can be one reason, sir.
Against whom?
China.
China. So it's an anti-China military alliance.
It's not a formal military alliance. A Quad or Malabar is not a formal military alliance. It's just an informal dialogue of the
Formal or formal doesn't make a difference. It's an alliance against China.
Yes, sir.
China is the only country which is preventing the free navigation of the Indo-Pacific.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it obvious? So why is India shy of calling it a military exercise, a sort of military grouping?
Sir, we have a tradition of not being part of any alliances. So I think that is one reason.
Now we are very much an ally of the US.
At least we are not admitting it on papers, if I'm correct.
That's India's policy. We don't admit, but we do it. Don't you agree?
Sir, I think it is a part of our balancing act, because as a country with our own special interest, we need to maintain a bridge between the.
What is Malabar famous for otherwise?
So Malabar is historically famous for the arrival of Vasco da Gama, and it is famous for the spice trade over there. And Malabar region is also famous for its distinct culture and cuisine. We have.
There is another port in Kerala that has been recently discovered, which disappeared in the 14th century. Are you aware of it?
I'm not aware of it, sir.
Okay. Now, Sabarimala, has the controversy been resolved?
Sir, I think the court decided to re-examine the case, except for that hue and cry is subsidized right now.
But are we aware of that age group being allowed access?
Technically, it's not, sir. But
There is a
due
court
to
order.
yes, sir. According to court order, there is no restriction for women of any age to enter the temple
And the
premises.
state government doesn't implement the court order.
The state tried to implement it, sir.
Tried to implement.
Yes, sir.
Would you implement it as district magistrate? As
Sir,
collector?
as a district magistrate, it is my duty to follow my government orders. So I
Not
may
court
go.
orders?
Court and government orders, sir.
No, if they are conflicting.
Sir, I'm not aware of the intricacies of how I am to act.
Okay. Now, similar thing is happening in Punjab. Are you aware what's happened in the Punjab in the last 2-3 days?
No, I'm not aware of it,
No?
sir. No, sir.
You don't read newspapers?
Yes, sir, but I haven't come across the news, or I might have missed it, sir.
You don't watch television news?
Front page news everywhere.
Oh, sorry, sir, I couldn't read newspapers thoroughly last 2 days.
Pro-Khalistan protesters fighting the police, brandishing swords?
Okay, sir.
No?
Sorry, sir, I haven't come across the news.
Okay. Now, you are a guest lecturer.
Yes, sir.
And what do you lecture on?
Sir, I taught English language for students coming from BBA and MBA backgrounds.
But you are in an institute of tourism and travel.
Yes, sir. They had courses on BBA travel and tourism, and I taught. They have a general English paper, so I taught that.
Okay. And your mother, she is a postgraduate or what?
She's a graduate, sir.
She's a teacher. At what
Yes.
level does she teach?
She teaches up to UP, upper primary level, sir.
Above primary level. You see, everybody talks about when there is a mention of quality of education, improving quality, everybody talks about teacher training. So do you really think teachers are not up to the standard?
Sir, I think that teacher training is required. It's not because teachers are not up to the mark, but their skills needs to be upgraded timely. Because even in the lieu of COVID, we see that teachers, though they were very well equipped to take offline classes, they
But
need to
tell me,
master.
what are the gaps? If the teachers were to be trained today, what would, in your opinion, be the gaps in which they should be sensitized?
Sir, one would be the use of ICT, because our classrooms are mostly turning out to be smart classrooms. So they need to get trained about how to use internet in order for the benefit of the students, create
The
slides.
teachers are not aware of ICT?
Sir, many are not so proficient, because as a daughter of a PD teacher myself, I could see how my mother struggled during the COVID time to use it out.
That's all?
No, sir, I have a few more points
Yeah.
in mind. Shall I? So another would be to give more importance to activity-oriented learning rather than teacher-centric classroom teaching. And 3 would be, I would also like to equip teachers with some kind of psychological studies, because students right now are facing a lot of issues, especially after 2 years of school closure and all. So if they could undergo some training to have an interaction in close groups with students, that can be activity oriented or some co-curricular activity oriented, that will be of great help.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Arya, what is the meaning of your name?
Sir, it's an Indo-Iranian name that means high or noble.
Noble. Where does it come from?
Sir, it's said to have Indo-Iranian connections, but my parents happens to be devotees of Lord Shiva and Parvati, and Arya is an alternative name for Parvati.
There is a theory that the Aryans came from Europe and Central Asia, and they drove out the Dravidians to the southern part of the country, and they became the dominant race in the north. Do you know what are the sources of this theory?
Sir, I'm not very much. I have heard about the controversy, and considering the similarity between Indo-Iranian languages and Indo-European languages and Sanskrit and some other Indian languages, and also considering the similarities between Rig Veda and Saindavasta, it's believed that they have come from that. And we also have so many thinkers who have also argued that Aryans have come from different regions.
So do you do accept that theory?
Sir, I'm not very much an authority.
Is the evidence adequate? Simply the similarity in languages in Persia and India, basically, majorly, is that enough to come to this conclusion?
Sir, I equally am confused about it because I have heard about the discovery of a skeleton, 14411, it's tagged like that, which bears biological similarity with the South Indians. And also, we have some other, no proper archaeological or biological evidence to prove that the Aryans were invaders or from Indo-European languages, that's said.
Is there any DNA evidence of the similarity of the North Indian and South Indians?
Sir,
races?
this skeleton that I mentioned was actually scanned for that.
DNA.
And yes, sir, and there appears that there are some similarities between both.
Okay, in your neighborhood, Sri Lanka has been having huge economic problems in the last 6-8 months.
Yes.
Tell us something about it. What happened?
Sir, Sri Lanka had to face so many economic issues because of multiple factors. One is the advent of COVID, and being an economy that is hugely dependent on tourism sector, they had to face a lot of issues, and this coupled with the attack over there during Easter bombings led to a huge fall.
Who did the bombing and what was bombed?
I'm not aware of the correct people who. There are so many allegations, I'm not aware of who bombed.
Okay, what else?
Sir, second are the flawed economic policies of the government as such, because they
What
took.
were the flaws in that economy policy?
Sir, they had a drastic shift towards organic farming. The organic farm is desirable, but a drastic shift towards it, and that too without proper consensus with the other economists or prominent economists might have.
How
created
did they
an issue.
enforce it? Can you enforce on the farmers this thing that you only grow organic? How did they do it?
I think the government enforced it, sir. The government came up with a policy that they cannot use fertilizers over there,
Okay.
and the
They
farmers.
stopped importing fertilizers, chemical
Yes.
fertilizers. Okay. What else?
Sir, these two, and it's also alleged that China's debt trap diplomacy also pushed Sri Lanka into its frontiers of economic stability.
And what is the China's role? Can you explain in detail?
Sir, China gave huge billions of loans to Sri Lanka, especially to build port and strategic facilities. But Sri Lanka happens to have used it for the benefit of developing Matala Airport and a few other infrastructure projects as such, which has not been so beneficial for them. And this has led them into a position that they cannot repay the loans that had been extended to them.
China has made similar investments in Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
What do you know about that?
Sir, we have China-Pakistan economic corridor that is coming up, and even recently during Pakistan's economic crisis, China has extended its arm in order to help Pakistan.
They are given?
They have offered, sir.
Offered what?
Offered loans, sir. I'm not aware of the exact amount.
How much investment they have made in Pakistan? Is it investment or are they the loans?
There is investments on infrastructure project, if I'm correct, sir, and loans have been
Why
extended.
would China make investment in Pakistan in infrastructure?
Sir,
Because any country does that you invest in other countries' development
sir,
without giving loans. Have we done it anywhere?
Yes, sir. We have invested in Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and all, and even in Afghanistan we have our investments.
What have we done in Afghanistan?
Sir, we have an Indira Gandhi the hospital over there, and even the airports are being built, and we have high intensity development projects like bus stops and airports that are developed with Indian assistance, sir.
Why are we doing it? The Afghan Taliban have been against us all the time. You remember they hijacked one Indian plane and taken it to Kandahar, and the Taliban were the who helped them. So why are we helping them?
Sir, initially we started helping them during the Afghan government when they was in rule, because we always wanted an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled consensus. But with the takeover of Taliban, we are still continuing it because one, Afghanistan is strategically very important for us, and losing a ground and the connect to Central Asia will be a very costly affair for us. And two, I think the humanitarian concern, India being a global leader of the South and the humanitarian phase that it is having, is very important. And
when you say global leader, isn't it self-proclaimed global leader? Does anybody accept you as a global leader?
Sir, I think India is largely considered as a potential global leader because we have G20 being
Potential global leader, is it?
Sir, I think like we considering our potential and our belief in ourselves, we consider ourselves to be a global leader, and that is in consensus with what the other countries are initiating right now.
Thank you, Arya.
Thank you, sir.
Miss Arya,
Sir.
you. Oh, sorry. Want it down. You mentioned that you have a connection with teaching. You are teaching, and that your mother is also a teacher. When do we celebrate Teachers' Day in India?
So, Teachers' Day in India is celebrated as the birth anniversary of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, who's our second president and a great teacher. I have.
You said he was the second president. Who were the next 4 presidents after Dr. Radhakrishnan?
So we have Dr. Zakir Hussain after Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, and I'm actually unable to recollect.
You are
them.
unable to recall. Okay. Now, you chose English literature as your optional. Did you study Shakespeare?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, from which play are these lines taken?
Okay.
There is a tide in the affairs of men, which, when taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of life is bound in shallows and in miseries.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, tell me, from which play are these lines taken? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day until the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death.
Sorry, sir.
Tell me from which play this line is taken. To bait fish withal, if it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. Shakespeare.
Sir, sorry, sir. I don't know
Okay.
these quotes. as
Did
such.
you read English poetry?
Yes, sir.
Did you read Eliot?
Yes, sir.
Which poem by Eliot ends with the line Shanti, Shanti, Shanti?
It's the wasteland, sir.
What does the wasteland tell us about?
Sir, wasteland is an analogy for the First World War torn world, where we have people who have lost all the belief in the system, and the narrative is as fragmented as the psyche of people of that period.
Does present day Ukraine remind you of the wasteland?
Yes, sir, it do.
Now, there was a resolution in the United Nations a couple of days back relating to Ukraine. Did you read about that resolution? What was it about? Who tabled it, and what was India's position?
Sir, I have heard about the moves to go for a
No, I'm
resolution.
talking about the UN, the resolution in the UN 2 days ago.
No, sir, I'm not aware of
You're
it.
not aware of it. Okay. Continuing with literature, did you read Dickens?
Yes, sir, I have read a couple of his works.
Which novel by Dickens starts with the sentence, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness."
Sir, it is A Tale of Two Cities.
Correct. Now, what impressed you about The Tale of Two Cities?
Sir, I haven't read the book
You
as
haven't read
such.
the book. Which novel by Dickens did you read?
I have read Hard Times and Great Expectations,
All
sir.
right. In Great Expectations, how do you see the character of Pip evolving?
Sir, Pip is considered to be, for me, is a child who has eagerly looking for a father figure. And eventually he could find that in Jack Max. And he is actually a victim of this European or Victorian notion of materialism, where he always wanted that material security.
Who's the heroine?
We have a character, I cannot remember.
Estella.
Estella, yes.
She is a heroine whom he fancies all the way. All right. You said something about having done fellowship at IIT Madras on Foucaultian analysis of select Indian short fiction. Who was Michael Foucault?
So he was a great French thinker and philosopher.
And what are the main outlines of his writings?
He's most famous for his theory of power and knowledge, where he
So how did you relate that to Indian fiction, which is what your work is?
Sir, I used the theories of Foucault on space in order to show that the space that we occupy now is a realm of power. Sir, if I can quote an instance, I used Kabuliwala by Rabindranath Tagore, and there is a mention of in-laws place in two meanings. Like one, it's a prison that is imprisoned Afghan traveler, and it's also an in-laws house, a husband's house for many. And both actually are like places of restraint for a woman and also for an Afghan traveler.
All right, good. Now, you studied at the Sri Vivekanand Memorial Public School.
Yes.
How do we celebrate the birthday of Swami Vivekananda?
It's celebrated on Jan 12th as National Youth Day, sir.
Good. And what was his actual name?
Narendranath Datta.
Good. Now, you're from Kerala, and there are a very large number of Malayalis in the Gulf. What do you understand by the GCC?
It's a group of Gulf bordering,
Now,
Persian
what is
Gulf
the full
bordering.
form of GCC?
Gulf Cooperation Councils.
Good. And how many members are there?
I'm not aware of the exact.
You're not aware of the members of the GCC?
Sorry, sir.
Which countries are we referred to as the Gulf countries?
So the countries that border the Persian Gulf, like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, and these are the ones.
Oman?
Oman is there.
Kuwait?
Kuwait is also there.
All right. Which of the GCC countries have normalized relations with Israel?
So we have UAE and Bahrain.
And how many other Arab countries have normalized relations with Bahrain?
We have Egypt normalizing their relations. sir.
When did Egypt normalize?
I'm not aware of the correct
All right.
years.
In 79.
Okay, sir.
Then after that?
Jordan, if
Which year?
again I'm not aware.
94.
Okay, sir.
Any countries after UAE and Bahrain?
I'm not aware of any, sir.
Okay. My last question to you.
Yes, sir.
You have written something here about beauty in your DAF.
Yes, sir.
That you did a research paper on beauty as an instrument of racism.
Yes.
Speak to me 30 minutes on beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Sir, can you repeat the first part of the question?
Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, because you did a thesis.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay.
Only 30 seconds. As you're speaking to a class.
We have said that we have heard about Anekantavada or the multiplicity of truth by Jainism, and it says that there is no fixed truth, and so is the notion of beauty, because we cannot perceive beauty in one sense and we cannot define it in one sense. It's all a subjective notion that lies and it has it's perceived by the person who sees, and beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. It's not because one person happens to be beautiful just because it's looked upon by person. It's actually a reflection of another person. If you find someone beautiful, it shows that you are able to find a reflection of your own beauty. And as the famous saying goes, your reflection of me is actually, your perception of me is actually a reflection of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Arya. Our discussion with you is over.
Thank you, sir.
Kindly wait outside for a few minutes.
Okay, sir.
We'll call you for a feedback.
Thank you, sir.